Matthew chapter 14, verses 17 through 21. And they say unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled. And they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. Okay, let's go to Matthew chapter 4, verse 19. What did he say? And he said unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Okay, let's go to another one. Matthew chapter 17, right? Let's start at verse 24. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter, and said, Doth not your master pay tribute? He saith, Yes. And when he was come into the house, JC prevented him, saying, What thinkest thou, Simon? It says, Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children, or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, Of strangers. JC saith unto him, Then are the children free? It says, Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go you to the sea, and cast and hook, and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when you have opened his mouth, you shall find a piece of money that take, and give unto them for me and thee. Okay? So, let's look at the Hebrew let's look at the Hebrew and the Greek word for fish. All right? Now, let's go to the KJV plus, and let's go back to Matthew chapter 14, verse 17, and let's look at the word fishes. Ikatus, right? Ikatus. Now, if we copy that, right? Let's go to the Hebrew word for fishes, okay? Let's just look up, right? Let's just look up Dagon, right? H1712, right? Dagon, a fish god. Dagon, a Philistine deity. Dagon. H1709, Dag, dog, right? A fish, or perhaps rather from H1672, right? Dayag, dog, right? Be anxious, be afraid, careful, sorry, sorrowful, take thought. Okay? Keep that in mind, right? A fish. Now, we're going to do something interesting here, okay? Let's go ahead and let's talk about Orpheus, all right? In the fish symbol. It says, the association between Orpheus and the fish symbol stems from a scholarly theory that links the ancient Greek mythic figure to early Christian iconography. According to this theory, the image of Orpheus as a divine fisher of souls was adopted by early Christians and transformed into the Christian fish symbol, or ichthys. We just saw the word ichthys in Greek, right? The connection was proposed by scholar Robert Eyler in his 1921 book, Orpheus the Fisher, Comparative Studies in Orphic and Early Christian Cult Symbolism. Okay, Eyler theorized that the name Orpheus is related to the Greek word for a type of fish, Orphoi. It says he argued that in some ancient pagan mystery cults, all right, Orpheus was revered as a divine fisherman, analogous to a shaman who retrieves lost souls. Very interesting, right? Orpheus the Fisher, kind of like JC, huh? Let's keep going. This idea positions Orpheus as a savior figure, kind of like JC, who descended into the underworld and returned. Early Christians who were familiar with pagan motifs began to see parallels between Orpheus and JC. I wonder why, right? It says precursor to JC. It says for these early Christians, Orpheus was reinterpreted as a symbol of immortality, and the imagery associated with him, such as charming animals with his lyre, was adapted to represent JC as the good shepherd. The divine fisher evolved into the Christian concept of JC as a fisher of men. This adoption, right, of existing pagan religious ideas is known as syncretism. Well, what do you know? It allowed early Christians to use a well-known, respected motif to express their own theological concepts and even to conceal their beliefs during times of persecution. The fish symbol in early Christianity. The Christian fish symbol is primarily rooted in the word itself, though the Orphic connection may have eased its adoption. Would you look at that? So, we have ourselves a syncretized matter here when dealing with the fish symbol. Okay? Why is this important? It's because guys like Clement of Alexandria, right, that decides to give you a earliest known depiction of how Christians actually used the fish as a sign of faith in 200 CE. Clement of Alexandria used to be a pagan before he converted to Christianity years later. And then he decides to write inside of his own journals the parallels of Orpheus and JC, and then tells you that Orpheus represents demons, and then tells you that JC is the one true God. He tells you these things because he knows for a fact that he's just jumping from one idol to another. There's no difference here. Everything that the Christians have, they've adopted. Everything. And that's including this fish symbol. Okay? We're gonna find out who JC really is today. So let's take a look at Orpheus and JC connection. The Orpheus and JC connection is an iconographic parallel in early Christian art, where the classical figure of Orpheus was used as a symbol for JC. Early Christians saw parallels in Orpheus's journey to the underworld to rescue his wife and JC's descent into the depths to save humanity. Orpheus also became a symbol of victory over death and eternal life, and his portrayal as the Good Shepherd was adopted to represent JC in a similar way. Very interesting. Underworld journey, victory over death, the Good Shepherd, symbol of the faithful. I mean, do you hear this? Early Christian catacombs? They even got historical context to this, y'all. And y'all still want to worship this guy? Let's keep going with the fish, right? Because that's what we're doing, right? We're talking about fish. So, let's do Orpheus. I already talked about the fish symbol. So, Orpheus and Dionysus. Orpheus was the founder of Orphism, a mystery cult that centered on the worship of Dionysus, with Orpheus serving as Dionysus' prophet. He supposedly brought the Dionysian mysteries to Greece from Egypt. His connection to Dionysus is also seen in his violent death, where he was torn apart by Maeonides, female followers of Dionysus, a fate that mirrored Dionysus' own death in some mythic traditions. Dionysus is considered a death and resurrected god too. Themes and connections, death and rebirth. The myths of both Orpheus and Dionysus are deeply connected to themes of death, rebirth, and spiritual ecstasy. It says both figures are described as having journeys into the underworld, which was a significant concept in Orphic thought. Orphism, informed by Dionysian worship, emphasized the need for purification to free the divine spark of the soul from material form and escape the cycle of death and rebirth. What does this sound like, y'all? This is crazy. Dionysus and the fish. Dionysus transformed Tyrrhenian pirates into dolphins, a type of fish, after they kidnapped him. When the pirates refused his demands, Dionysus, the god of wine, filled their ship with spreading vines and phantom beasts. As a final punishment, he transformed the pirates into dolphins after they jumped into the sea to escape. So he has the power to transform people into dolphins. What zodiac does Dionysus represent? Dionysus, the Greek god of wine, ecstasy, and theater, is associated with the zodiac sign Pisces that represents two damn fish. Due to their shared themes of spirituality, dreams, and emotional depth, Pisces individuals ruled by the planet Neptune, which is the Roman version of Poseidon, are characterized by empathy, imagination, and a connection to the mystical, right? Which resonates with Dionysus's divine ability to transcend the ordinary and explore emotional extremes. Some astrologers also connect Dionysus as a precursor to the age of Pisces, viewing him as a bridge between the human and divine realms. Kind of sounds like a logos to me in Greek. But hey, we're just here today. We're just here trying to debunk some lies. So let's just look up JC and Pisces. Let's see what we get. Pisces JC refers to several concepts. JC as the archetype of the astrological sign of Pisces, symbolizing universal love and compassion. The age of Pisces, right? An astrological era commencing around JC's birth, and the symbol of the fish as a code word and a symbol for JC in early Christians. While JC, personal birth sign, is unknown and may not be relevant, his teachings and ministry coincides with the beginning of the age of Pisces, and the fish symbol was a prominent early Christian symbol representing JC and his followers. Do you see how this all connects now? Wait a minute, I'm not done, because I'm showing y'all some. I'm gonna show y'all something, okay? Let's look at Dagon and Pisces. Let's see what this says now. It says Dagon and the zodiac sign Pisces are linked by their association with fish symbolism. with Dagon being a Philistine fish god and Pisces representing two fish. Dagon is depicted with a man's body and a fish's tail. It says symbolizing fertility, while the Pisces constellation symbolizes the two fish that saved Aphrodite and Eros, leading to their complacement in the heavens. The connection is also evident in the common use of fish motifs in both Mesopotamian and Canaanite cultures, which both influenced the development of the Pisces myth. Now, there's a reason for this, okay? There's a reason why Dagon represents Pisces, and it has something to do with one of the 4 stars of Persia, okay? This is the reason why they have this zodiac wheel right here, okay? And one of the stars that represents Pisces is called Fomalhaut, meaning the mouth of the fish, or the southern fish. So, let's take a look. Pisces in Fomalhaut. Fomalhaut is the brightest star in the Pisces Astronus southern fish constellation. While the constellation Pisces is known as the fishes, in ancient myth, the southern fish constellation, Pisces Astronus, is often portrayed as the mother of the two fish in the Pisces constellation, with Fomalhaut located in its mouth. Four stars of Persia. Let's look at it, shall we? The 4 royal stars of Persia are Aldebaran, Regulus, and Taurus in Fomalhaut, which were believed to guard the 4 cardinal points of the sky around 3000 BCE. These bright first magnitude stars were integrated into Persian cosmology and Zoroastrian texts, symbolizing divine power, cosmic order, and seasonal cycles. You got the bull's eye, right? The bull, which represents Taurus. Then you got Regulus, which is basically the lion's heart, right? Representing what we like to call Leo. And Taurus, the scorpion's heart, right? Watcher of the West, which is what we like to call Scorpio in the zodiac. The mouth of the fish, Fomalhaut, is what we like to call Pisces. And guess what this makes, y'all? Whether you call it a cross or you call it an X, this is your Tav X that they talk about. This is what we like to call the Watchers. And there are good Watchers and there are bad Watchers. The bad Watchers physically descended to earth, and they were called the sons of God in Genesis. Genesis chapter 6. Let's start at verse 4, right? It says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Who are the giants? The giants are what they like to call the Nephil, a feller. That is a bully or tyrant. Root word meaning to fall. Nephal, right? So, here's my question. Who are the sons of God? Because I thought Israel was the firstborn son of God. So we know we ain't talking about Israel because Israel wasn't even thought of yet. So here's a rhetorical question to my beloved brothers and sisters that don't believe in angels, that don't believe in aliens, that don't believe in none of this shit. Who the fuck are the sons of God in Genesis 6? Noah was barely in the picture. Okay? The motherfucking Noah was barely in the picture in chapter 6. So we know we're not talking about Shem. We know we ain't talking about Noah. We're not even talking about Israel. That's way later. Who are these giants, man? Who are these fallen ones? These are considered your so-called angels or your so-called watchers. Something that the book of Enoch has talked about. Something that the book of Jasher has talked about. I mean, do you not see? Let's take a look at sons. A son, right? Relationship, grandson, subject, nation, quality, or condition. A Levite, right? An anointed one. One born bow, branch, breed, bullock. Why does it say young bullock? Why does it say young calf? Firstborn, full, mighty. Rebel. Why does it say rebel there for son? Seem like the more and more we read, the more and more we see that son can mean any of these. And it'll still be true. So, you explain. If you really don't believe in any of the angels that came down and had sex with the daughters of men, if you don't believe none of that, and you believe that the sons of God that they talking about are Adamites, then why in the world would this be a sin and wickedness of the Most High? Look at Genesis chapter 6 verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Now, why in the world would he actually destroy the animals too? If it was just men just doing these SAs to the daughters of men, right, which don't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense at all unless these are unnatural beings that's doing this to the daughters of men that are called the Son of God. Please explain. So, let's go to the right interpretation. There were giants, fallen angels in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became what? Mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. What does renown mean? Hold on. Means shame, right? As a mark or a memorial of individuality, honor, authority, character, famous. They were famous. The men who were famous. How many times have we talked about these different Greek gods, these different Egyptian gods, these different Babylonian gods? And all of them were well known. They had their own group of people, their own group of priests, their own temples, their own images, carvings. It's because those gods were those giants that we talked about, those Nephals. So you have good watchers and you have bad watchers. Let's go to Daniel chapter 4, verse 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher, and an holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the breasts in the grass of the earth. It says, let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. Now, this is the watcher interacting with Daniel in his visions. Let's take a look at the word watcher from a root corresponding to a watcher, that is an angel, as guardian. Remember, the 4 stars of Persia are the watchers. They are the guardians, right? That makes up your X in ancient Hebrew, meaning covenant. God's promise. Why do you think in Ezekiel 9:4, when the Most High told you to put an X, the mark, on the righteous ones that sobbed for Israel because they already knew the type of abominations that Israel did in chapter 8? He said, I'm not going to touch those. They're already guarded up. I'm not going to touch those. Those are the righteous. The ones without the mark, kill their ass. Do not have pity over them. Why do you think he told them to do that? And then Christians turn around and call it the mark of the beast. Think about that for a second. So they call it that because they don't want you to know that this JC character is one of the fallen watchers, which is why he's called the Son of God, which is why he's considered himself a quote unquote savior, right? Think about it. This man uses a star for the Star of Bethlehem. We already know about the Star of Bethlehem already. I've taught it to you multiple times. This man JC is an idol. He's a watcher. Why do you think he is known everywhere? Because he is a man of renown. Think about what I'm saying. The man is famous everywhere you go. The cross, the fish, everywhere you fucking go. This goddamn idol is everywhere. And there's only going to be a righteous remnant? Christians should really, that should really turn a fucking knob switch in their fucking heads right now. If JC is every fucking where and everybody believes in him and they're not condemned, why in the world is only a remnant going to survive? Let's really talk about this shit. So yes, we do have watchers watching over us. They're called our guardian angels. That doesn't mean we worship them. That doesn't mean that we bow down to them. They tell us to bow down to the Creator. That's it, that's all. They decide to give you this Christian cross, this Tau cross, because they want to put the T out of Tav X in the mix with some deception shit. And y'all think it's a fucking game out here? They're using ancient Hebrew symbols and trying to place it into Greek, a pagan fucking language that don't have nothing to do with Hebrew whatsoever. Stop fucking playing with the children of Yasharallah. Stop playing with their law, statutes, and commandments, man. Stop playing with their language. Give us our shit back. I'm hot right now, bro. Because this is what they teach you. They teach you some Babylonian shit. And then you think that it's evil. No, these goddamn angels came down to earth, mixed their seed with human beings, and now you have human beings having what people like to call nowadays congenital birth defects. Babies having 3 arms. Babies having 1 fucking eye. Babies having 2 heads. And you think that shit is just doesn't come from the seed of the Father? Why you think that is? Babies coming out, hair all over the fucking body. Babies coming out have all pale white skin with blonde hair and blue eyes. That's albinism. You don't just get pale skin with leprosy only. That's a fucking gene. It's a damn fish gene. Think I'm lying? SLC2485 is a human gene that produces a protein involved in skin, hair, and eye coloration, also known as Salute Carrier Family 24 Member 5, NCKX5. Mutations in this gene can lead to conditions like this big ass word, albinism, and are linked to variations in natural human skin pigmentation with a specific allele associated with lighter skin in both Europeans and South Asians. Tell me you don't see this fucking white person out in the streets in America today. JC is their God, man. JC is their creator. JC is their last Adam. And everybody keeps saying that Dagon, the fish god, is related to JC. Is related to the Pope's hat, the mitre hat. Right? We not fucking slow. We not fucking stupid. Then they call it rare. Calling it a disorder. I see people like this every single fucking day. What does it do? Melanosomes, which are crucial for melanin production. Regulating the function of melanosomes. Right? It's a condition characterized by very pale skin, light hair, and eyes, and an increased risk of skin cancer. Where the fuck does this gene come from? Oh, I know. In zebrafish, the SLC24A5 gene is responsible for the golden mutation, which results in lighter pigmentation. This gene produces a membrane protein that is crucial for the proper development of melanosomes and melanin production. It prevents melanin production, y'all. A mutation in the SLC24A5 gene leads to a loss of function. The fish god JC, right? This is why you shouldn't worship no signs. You shouldn't worship no symbol. You damn sure shouldn't worship a motherfucking man on a goddamn towel. The image of Edessa was a holy relic consisting of a square or rectangle of cloth upon a miraculous image of the face of JC. This is how they promoting this nigga, y'all. You see the T in the background? False idols. And tell me I'm lying. We didn't have to do this as Yasharala. I hope you know that. We didn't have to promote this nigga. We didn't have to promote him at all. He is a watcher. Them four corners about the four cardinal directions. Where do you think they get that from, bro? Like, I'm being dead serious. Where do you think they get all of this shit from? Let's really talk about it. If JC... Look at this shit, bro. Is Dionysus, or as I should say, was known in South Asia. Yes, Dionysus was known in and connected with South Asia. Remember zebrafish. Remember the gene that comes from zebrafish comes from a people that live in South Asia and Europe. Let's keep going. Through ancient Greek myths, especially after Alexander the Great's conquests in the 4th century BCE. Ancient writings like Lucian and Apollodorus described Dionysus' conquest of India, where he taught winemaking, founded cities, and was worshipped, with some of these accounts appearing in surviving Gandharan art. Oh, it gets worse. Oh, it gets worse. Indian Shiva. It's the god that is equivalent to Dionysus. They share significant similarities, with both being associated with wine intoxication, ecstasy, fertility, and the wild dance of creation and destruction. Isn't Shiva the same Indian deity that has a mythological way of creating yoga inside of a fish named Matsya? What happened in the book of John, chapter 21, verses 3 through 11? Did not... Let's really talk about it. What did I just read? What did I just read in Matthew, chapter 17, verses 24 through 27? What did JC tell Peter? How did JC pay taxes? How did he pay the tax? Shiva's connection to the fish Matsya comes from the legend where a fish named Matsya secretly listened to Shiva's yoga teachings for goddess Parvati, later becoming Matsyendranath, the lord of the fishes, and the first teacher of Hatha Yoga. You can't make this shit up, bro. Then they tell you that Matsya is the fish that was a part of creating humankind. Then they tell you that Matsya was the deity that told a human to build a boat for the flood. I wonder what kind of story that is in the Bible. Like, are y'all seeing these parallels, or am I tripping? Don't you know Matsya and Krishna have a connection too? Oh yeah. It gets very deep down in the rabbit hole, for sure. Pisces, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. The fallen watchers came from those four. And these fallen watchers became giants, men of renown. They were in the physical presence mixing in with the daughters of men. They mixed in with animals and they mixed in with humans. That shit is not natural. And Noah was perfect in the eyes of the Lord because Noah wasn't mixed with fallen angel DNA. This is why every other so-called race hate us. They hate us. We are the original Adamite with no fallen angel DNA. We come from the dirt and the breath of the Most High Himself. Only. With no idols. And this is the reason why. If you worship the creation, this is what you get. If you worship the Creator, you don't have to worry about any of this. Because all of this shit is just nothing but signs and symbols. Let's go back to the Creator and Him alone. Now you know the okie doke. Now you know who the Adam of the fish people are. Now you know why when Esau holds on to that JC character, you know why. It's a spiritual thing. They believe a man that they can be able to see can save them. When in reality, the true Savior, you can't see. Shalom Barakas. Happy Shabbat. No idols.